Welcome to Hockey Nights in Vegas, the round two edition. My name is Eddie Rivkin. I'm joined as always by my esteemed colleague, Joe Payne of the Las Vegas Advisor. Let's cut all the foreplay and upfront bullshit and get down to it. Game one, your article was called Flush It, So We'll Flush It. But there are two takeaways. The hit against Janmark and Robin Leonard not being the backup last night in game two. Logan Thompson, the award-winning goalie of the Henderson Silver Knights, was backing him up. Janmark has to have a concussion, right?
You would think at the minimum.
Right.
And it's interesting that you didn't want to even discuss Ryan Reaves.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we can. You go first, because I got a funny feeling we might be really alike on this because of that article I sent you.
Well, I mean, I like I said in today's article, I've written close to 300 articles on the Vegas Golden Knights, and never in any of the previous 298 articles have I ever really made a big thing about the officiating. But obviously, other than Game 7 in San Jose, that's another animal. But these last two games, the officiating didn't play a major role in the outcome of Game 1. Obviously, at 7-1, I don't really know if the officiating had any call in it, but the lack of calls and the calls that they decided to enforce and rules that they didn't had an effect on creating a boiling pot of hot water that Ryan Reaves, and he was brought here as George McPhee said when he first came here, he's brought here to keep the flies off the honey. And when the referees are not going to manage the game and protect the players, well, then Ryan Reaves, and I even told friend Kevin and we were watching the game together. I said he left after the second period. And I said to him, "Don't leave. This game is going to explode because there's no way with Reaves on the bench that Graves is going to get away scot-free without having to answer for his hit. Not only his hit, but his reaction, his smirking about the hit on the bench and smirking at Carrier when Carrier challenged him to a fight and Graves didn't respond. So it was a matter of time. So I don't have a lot of people have a problem with what Reaves did. I had zero problems with what he did. That's what he's paid to do. He's not paid to score goals. He's paid to create a forecheck. He's paid to create havoc, and he's paid to stand to protect his players, and he did just that in Game 1. So I have zero problem with what he did. I do have a problem with the officiating because if the call was made the way it was supposed to be made, Ryan Reaves doesn't have to take matters into his own hand. What I do find ironic is that what he did to Graves was not even half as significant as what Wilson did to Panarin, and Wilson got a $5,000 fine, and Reaves gets a 2-game suspension. And, and Wilson is a repeat offender too. It's not like it was.
That's where I want to go.
Yeah, it's not like Wilson. It's not like Wilson's first rodeo.
He did what he did, and he did what he was paid to do. But uniform application of the law, right? You made the point. You couldn't make the point better. If you put up the videos side by side or one after another, what Tom Wilson did was way more egregious. And the fact that they decided to suspend Ryan Reaves for 2 games, that's like playoff justice. And we let the NHL have it pretty big time a couple of times, and they kind of deserve it here because honestly, it was a horseshit decision by either Peros or Bettman or whatever. He completely kowtowed to public opinion and the uproar and this and that and the other thing. I mean, here's the question. If that was in a regular season game, does he get 2 games or does he get 5,000 like Wilson?
He gets, I would, you know what? I'm tired of guessing what the DPS is going to do because I believe they spin a wheel. They spin a wheel to see where it lands. Oh, well, you know what? It landed on 2 games. Let's give Reeves 2 games. And you know, Wilson body slammed Panera to the ice, and he didn't have, and Panera had lost his helmet.
Right.
So that could have been a very, very severe injury. I don't know how badly he was injured, but I know he never played after that. He didn't play in the last couple of games that the Rangers had. Did they hold him out because at that point they were eliminated from the playoff race? So we can take that.
We're not going to know because all those people are fired. So,
right, exactly. And
but,
I was told by a friend of mine who's got an ear to the ground on the Rangers is that Dolan instructed Davidson to fire the general manager. When he didn't, Dolan just fired both of them. And that statement was supposedly issued by Dolan. So I'm, again, this is all rumors, but
that's typical James Dolan stuff.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know. It just seems so uneven to me. I mean, and they said, "Oh, the Graves hit was a good hockey hit." No, it wasn't.
No,
it was not. It absolutely was not. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if this is not yet over. It's probably over for this series because of the Golden Knights being down 0-2. Can't afford another 9-minute power play, which I don't know. I've been watching hockey for 50 years. You ever see a 9-minute power play?
Well, I never did, but I wrote that in my article, and then some troll who obviously is who's a Colorado Avalanche fan told me that Sean Avery got a similar penalty when he was with the LA Kings, a 5-minute major, and 2-minute minus for a 9-minute power play. I don't know.
Okay, so
maybe
Mr. Sideline fan has one bit of knowledge that we didn't have.
Thousands of games played every year, and he's and like you and I have been around the block a couple of times. That's the first time I've personally seen a 9-minute power play.
So
but neither here nor there. The point is, Graves was not injured at all by Ryan Reeves.
Didn't miss a shift.
And this guy also said to me, well, he didn't play the next 2 shifts. Well, he doesn't play the power play.
Right.
So that's why he didn't play the next 2 shifts. But the first shift that he was available, he played. He lost a little hair, maybe,
Another banquet waiter making comments on people's articles.
Whatever.
But the bigger story that came out of it, Robin Lehner has not practiced and did not dress for game 2. Logan Thompson, as I mentioned in the opening, is the backup goalie. You and I both noticed that he took a pretty solid shot right off the bucket. I hate to say another concussion, but I don't see what else it could be. I mean,
all roads lead there,
right?
Eddie.
I mean, you and I disagree about the starting him in game 1, and we had a little chat about it where I told you, 7 games in 14 days, maybe Fleury was just a little bit tired, and I don't want to say that the Golden Knights sacrificed Robin Lehner in game 1, but there was no way they were pulling him. That's the first thing.
No.
And he didn't do a lot to help himself. The first goal was a softie. You can't allow a backhand goal from outside the faceoff dot. But so he was sort of uneven, but he also hasn't played a game in next to forever. So I think that they did sacrifice him. They told him, whatever happens, you're going the route.
Right.
Fleury he's resting, and you know what? That's part of pro sports. They weren't ready emotionally to play the game, and they got their ass handed to them, and we flushed it. But now we have last night's game to talk about. That's the game that the series is probably should be the rest of the way out. And aside from the score, the Vegas Golden Knights, in my opinion, had a not good first period where Fleury kept them in, but I thought they absolutely carried the play to them for the last 40 minutes. And I'm not going to be a whining amateur and say, oh, they got robbed or this, that, or the other thing. But talking about hockey itself, they thoroughly outplayed the Avalanche most of that 40 minutes. and they came out on the wrong side of the decision, and they're down 0-2. But tell me the big picture that you saw from game 2 last night.
The Vegas Golden Knights definitely slowed down the Colorado Avalanche coming through the neutral zone. Fleury was much more involved in handling the puck and almost creating himself as a third defenseman and clearing the zone. There was a couple of times where he really wandered out of the net, which is, he doesn't really do much of that. He handles the puck well, but you don't really see him wandering too much. But last night, it was obviously a game plan that was discussed between Fleury and the coaching staff and possibly the goaltending coach about Fleury getting more involved in retrieving the puck and helping his defensemen clear the zone. And I think that kind of baffled Colorado for a while. I mean, the first goal was a fluke. The guy.
It was a fluke. That's all you have to say. It was a fluke. He whiffed, and that was it. Fleury was looking for a fastball, and he got a knuckleball. And that's that. But the Golden Knights didn't cave.
No, they didn't, and they were. I think, I keep on saying when they have a good game, this is the best game they played so far. But obviously, this is the best game of the two, and It might have been the best game they played, other than maybe Game 7 against Minnesota, where they played nearly perfect in that game. They deserved to win that game last night, but
I agree. They got a lot. They didn't have any puck luck.
They hit.
Right?
They
hit 5 posts, 5 posts, right?
But I will tell you this: Alex Tuck really emerged as a power forward last night. I mean, he looked faster than the whole Colorado team. He really did. If Colorado's got a fast team, but Tuck he had like an extra speed. I don't know, did the extra day rest help him?
I think that an extra day at altitude has to help.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's funny you say that because I'm not sure who the commentator on somebody on the NHL Network said when Scotty Bowman played against Colorado during the playoffs, he would take the team out of Colorado in between the games because they say the second and third day in the air actually affects you more than the first day. I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time in Denver. I've driven through it a couple of times. But I'm not exerting myself in 40-minute spans of skating 20 miles an hour. So I wouldn't know. But the point is, Scotty Bowman's a pretty brilliant hockey guy, and he took his team out. He would take his team out of Denver when they played the Avalanche because of the altitude problem.
Right. And but the other side of the story is they say that normally in the third period is when your legs start to burn. So I think just the fact that they were able to shit the first game down the toilet and have that, I think that extra day was absolutely huge between their ears. I think that's where the big difference was. They certainly were focused. They certainly skated. And like you said, the Golden Knights first line of Stone, Pacioretty, and Chandler held McKinnon's line pretty well in check. And I agree with you 100%. Fleury just stopping the wraparounds and Fleury blocking some passes, cross seam passes, and some poke checks seemed to disrupt the flow of the Avalanche a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
And I agree with that 100%. So we both agree that the Golden Knights deserved a better outcome than they got. That's probably the right way to say it. Right.
Yeah. I mean, and I looked this up before, and you and I never really discuss what we're going to talk about on these podcasts. We just kind of let the camera go. And
turn the mic on and go.
Yeah, pretty much. But I knew that we were going to bring up Riley Smith. So I looked up his penalty stats in playoff games. Prior to last night's game, he played in 73 playoff games and he had 10 penalties, 20 minutes in penalties in 73 games. So
okay. Stats aside, was it a soft call? Pete DeBoer said
soft is being kind. It was a horrible call. I think they made the call only based upon the fact is they saw a stick on the ice and they just assume it was a slash to knock the stick out. If you watch the replay, Riley Smith basically he toes his stick over onto the toe of the stick. He doesn't even slash down on who do you call on
The goal scorer, Rantanen.
Rantanen stick.
Rantanen.
Rantanen
Right.
stick and and what DeBoer said and what Stone said post game was pretty much spot on. And then Rantanen come on and said he doesn't know anybody who would intentionally drop their stick in the defensive zone.
Look in
But
the
he did go on
look
to
in the
say-
fucking mirror. That's
he
what
did
I
go
have to
on
say to him.
that he knew that it's an automatic penalty. So if you know it's an automatic penalty, why not do that? If you know you're going to get the call.
Okay, now we'll leave that right there because I'm going to give you the what if. Okay, the Golden Knights are down 1. It's late in the third period. Colorado ices the puck. Faceoff comes back into their zone. We take Stone and the other center's word that sticks get chopped every faceoff and this, that, and the other thing. You can embellish a call, Rantanen style, we'll call it. Drop your stick with not a huge two-hander. Go on the power play. And then pull the goalie and you have a 6-on-4. Right? I mean, he's opened up a can of worms by saying nobody would do it, but then again, I do know it's another penalty. If you think about it strategically, right? And we've already got embellish or dive or whatever you want to call what he did because it was soft as baby shit. The call. The referees are now pretty well boxed in that call has to be made now, and it has to be made fairly consistently. Right? They set the precedent by making that call in overtime, where normally penalties have to be, one step below murder to get a power play in overtime, and especially in a game of this magnitude between the 1 and 2 seeds in the entire NHL.
Yeah, the NHL right now, this particular series is showcasing the two best teams after 56 games. This is ironic. It's shameful that one of these two teams is not moving on to play deeper into the tournament, and that's just the way it felt, because normally Colorado and Vegas are not in the same conference, so they wouldn't meet until if they were to meet, the latest would be at the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
So, that's the shame of this whole thing. But now that the series is 2-0, Vegas has got a huge hill to climb. They absolutely must hold serve.
Well, yeah, there's no reason to waste 10 seconds of microphone time. Friday is a must win.
Must win.
An absolute must win. Now, they have a couple of intangibles, right? There's going to be 18,000 and change for the first time. I would suspect that the environment will be somewhat similar to game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals against Washington, though I expect the quality of the game to be significantly higher than the first game of the Stanley Cup Finals. They're going to have to ride they have to put a saddle on the emotion and the momentum and ride it. They're going to get what they've always said. We've got the best crowd in the NHL, the best fans, and they're going to need help. These teams are a lot more even, and even the guys at NBCSN who have nothing good to say about the Golden Knights as a general rule said game 1's the outlier. This is what the series is going to be like. And tomorrow night is Reeves' second game of suspension. Janmark hasn't skated, so we're going to assume that he's out. They gave us the okey doke on Nosek, so it looks like it's probably going to be the same lineup up and down.
And I will tell you this, as much as I appreciate what Reeves brings to the lineup, his absence did not hurt them last night because Kolasar.
I don't I don't want to say they didn't miss him because he's a great locker room guy, but for
Right,
his
but
9 minutes of ice time or his 10 minutes of ice time, the revamped for the 9,000th time fourth line was significantly better than Belmar's line on Colorado.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
that, if we go back through the history of the games between the Avalanche and the Golden Knights, there has been a disparity in the bottom six, and it's been favoring Colorado. Last night it was not.
And here's what I'll give you too, Eddie, and I already know you know this, but for our listeners, with the last change, Vegas having the last change at
Massive.
T-Mobile, they're going to be able to get the Stone line and the Marchessault line and Carlson line out against that fourth line, who's the only player that is decent on that line is Pierre Belmar,
Right.
former Golden Knight. The other two kids are, they can.
They're not there yet. That's all. They're just
They're not
not.
what?
They're just not there yet. They're doing as
Okay.
best they can, but they're not there yet. I feel terrible for Riley Smith.
Oh God.
I mean, he could have had a Hattie, and then a couple.
He played a good game.
He played a fantastic game. He had big jump, right? And the hockey gods were cruel to him. And
Very
then the penalty. So I got nothing but respect for listen, none of them had a bad game, but there is a recurring issue that we have to address, and that's Alex Petrangelo's play.
I knew you would go
in the defensive zone. He just, it was like he was in the 8th row of the stands in the first when the first goal was scored. I haven't played hockey in many years, but I did play defense, and they always said the dots are the border. Everybody stays outside the dots, and nobody paid me $8 million to play hockey. I got a roll of tape and a orange slushy.
I think Saad was actually surprised he had that much room down the middle.
He looked down the ice. He was like, "Where'd everybody go?" But that's just that one example. He has, and throughout the Minnesota series, I think as well, struggled with his first pass and struggled clearing the puck.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of surprising to me. And thankfully, Nick Holden has really stepped up. So they have two real solid, stay-at-home orientated guys in Martinez and Holden right now. And whenever McNabb gets back, if he clears in the next 2 or 3 days, that will balance for the sort of wandering that Pietrangelo has been doing and getting. I mean, listen, we understand, and this, I'm sorry for jumping around. We understand Pete DeBoer wants to activate the D, and he wants to force them to defend the entire Golden Knights lineup going down ice toward scoring a goal. But Pietrangelo just seems like he's not in sync, I think is what I want to say. He's not the guy that I would expect would feel rushed. And he looks like he's just not comfortable in his skates when they dump the puck in his corner and he goes to get it. Am I close?
I actually had a conversation with Steve Kopp in Game 7 that I said to him, sometimes you can kind of cut a little slack to a defenseman who's on his backhand trying to get the puck up and out of the zone. But I've seen Pietrangelo flub on his forehand trying to get the puck up the glass and out of the zone. And it's like, he's not a rookie. He was brought here not only to quarterback the power play,
to win the cup.
He was brought here for his defensive play also.
Right.
He was supposed to be the all-around player. And I have to tell you right now, this might be the worst $8 million contract currently in the NHL right now. And I say that as a supporter of the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm sure Pietrangelo, I didn't get to see him play a lot because I didn't really watch a lot of the St. Louis games, and that's where he's played his whole career. So I can't really make a judgment on what he did because I didn't really watch a lot of his games. But his press clippings when he got here made me believe that this guy's the real deal. And he very well may be, but I will tell you this year, he's not the real deal. He hasn't been a real deal. Is it a matter of he's just not comfortable?
Is it system still?
That, and maybe, picking up and moving his entire family from St. Louis to Vegas, and
Pacioretty had the same thing in his first year. He never really.
I was just going to say that it took Pacioretty a year to get comfortable too, and look where he is now. He's the leading goal scorer on Vegas Golden Knights for this season, and he's their ultimate sniper. So, if we can get past this round and Pietrangelo can somehow straighten this game out and then become acclimated to the life in Las Vegas, the weather, and get his kids and his family settled, maybe this contract will have value going forward. But I will tell you right now, it does not.
It's an albatross. It's hanging around their neck.
Yeah, and it's caused them to play shorthanded 8 or 9 games this year,
numerous times, and
lose the President's Trophy over it too.
And we don't expect that it's going to change that much next year with the flat cap.
Well, the only difference would be supposedly we're going back to an 82 game schedule. That's what I hear. I don't know how true that is.
Well, it doesn't affect the salary cap.
No, it doesn't affect the salary cap, but no, I'm talking about giving Pietrangelo more time.
Oh, yeah.
To kind of acclimate and readjust. He only had basically 28 games here and 28 on the road. There was no exhibition season.
Right. Plus, he had COVID and he broke his wrist and he missed a bunch of time.
I don't know if he broke his wrist, but he took.
He did something.
It's still taped today, by the
right.
way. If you see him in some post-game interviews, he still has some tape on that on his. I think it's his left wrist, by the way.
I mean, is this a significant enough issue, or are we being too much like the fans that we make fun of all the time, that Pete DeBoer starts to adjust his pair matchups going forward in games 3 and 4?
Good question. I wasn't on DeBoer's parade, so to speak, when he first got here, and because of where he came from, and
sure,
yeah, but he's proven himself
in spades.
In spades.
He's proven it. He's proven why they brought him here. But but the question still remains. It says, because he knows it. The film doesn't lie. I mean, are we at the point where we're starting to hide Pietrangelo from McKinnon and Rantanen? I mean, that entails giving more ice time, prime time ice time, to Zach Whitecloud and Nicholas Hague. Now, they've played well, but this is a terrible, terrible matchup for Nick Hague.
It's a bad matchup for Nick Hague, and it really emphasizes how much we miss McNabb right now.
Yes, 1,000%, because it's easy to see Holden staying in and going down to third pair to play with Whitecloud, and McNabb slotting in with either Theodore or Pietrangelo. So you got offense, defense, rookie, steady veteran on your 3 pairs. I read something where the people are already saying, how can we find a way to trade him? Now, those people should just shut the fuck up. Stop it.
It's next to impossible to trade an $8.8 million contract.
Well, there's 2 of them available right now. Jack Eichel and
Connor McDavid,
Seth Jones.
Oh, Seth Jones.
Seth Jones told Columbus he's not going to sign an extension. He's due for 5-6 next year, but a big raise going forward. Much younger than Pietrangelo. You could say probably grittier than Pietrangelo, but not the pedigree. Hasn't won the cup, hasn't won, anything basically in Columbus. But
are you suggesting that?
No, it's retarded. No.
Oh, okay.
It's retarded.
Because I believe Pietrangelo's got a no trade clause contract too, by the way.
I don't think it kicks in for another couple of years.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a full no. Anyway, That's irrelevant. They're not trading him. Okay. And the people who said that are the same people that said they should trade Leonard now too. But we enjoy the fans. We enjoy their paranoia and their ludicrous assumptions. And we both shamelessly read how dumb they are. And it's fun. And we enjoy it. But we have to get back to business. You said the hill is very steep. It's what, 87% when you go down 2-0. Some absurd,
87% and 4-0 this year.
So
the 4 teams that won the first 2 games went on to advance.
So both of our predictions are in bad shape. So
very bad shape.
Let's eat a slice of humble pie and talk about what we expect for tomorrow. Tomorrow night. Today's Thursday, Friday. What do we expect for Game 3 at the Fortress with 18,000 people?
I expect the Vegas Golden Knights to play a carbon copy of what they did in Colorado, and the only change would be that they're going to have less change and they can get the matchups that they think are best for them. And I tell you the truth, pitting the Stone, Pacioretty, and Stevenson line against the big boys of Colorado wasn't a bad matchup for Vegas.
No,
when
it
they have to,
it absolutely was not.
You're forcing those big boys in Colorado to have to play some defense because, the Stone and Pacioretty and
Can
Stevenson
forecheck and hold the puck.
And they can move the puck.
And they can move the puck.
They can move the puck, right? So
I expect a red letter emotion. I expect the same game, but even with the intensity ramped up even more. I think they get the saddle on the momentum. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to skate Colorado out of the rink because that's nutty talk. I'm going to go first on prediction, and I'm going to say 5-2 Vegas.
Okay.
And I think that the first 10 minutes of the game might be the best 10 minutes of hockey we get to watch, because they should literally come and shot out of a cannon should be an understatement for how they should come out tomorrow night. So I'll take them in a very dominating performance, much like period 2 and 3 of last night's game. And I'll take 5-2 Vegas.
So Colorado has been shut out only 2 times this year, right?
Both times by Fleury.
Well, tomorrow night, Fleury gets them for the 3rd time.
Okay.
4-0 Vegas tomorrow night.
Okay. We stayed positive. We talked about the truths of what we see in the game, like we always do.
And we're not homers. If we were homers, we wouldn't be raping Petrangelo up and down the chalkboard either. So
no,
you can't call us homers.
No, I think we give everybody a fair shake. So 5-2, 4-0. To say that the season is on the line tomorrow night is not an understatement. It's they got to win.
They have to win 4 of the next 5 games.
Well, normally you would say no, but we know that they can win in Denver, and we know that they can win here. So I would say stranger things that happen. I don't like my prediction. I like yours better if it's going to happen.
Well, so I said 7.
Right. So, I don't see them winning the next 4.
I will tell you this. I said 4-0 for Friday, tomorrow. I say the series, when it gets back to Colorado, it's tied 2-2.
I don't think it's unreasonable at all to think that the Golden Knights hold serve. And can you just imagine how just being a hockey fan, be a new hockey fan or be an old fart hockey fan like both of us, Game 5 could be the game for the Stanley Cup.
Well, I'm going to give you another prediction too. I gave you 4-0. I gave you that they'll win Sunday too. The winner of this series, and I hope it's Vegas, but the winner of the series, without a doubt, wins the Stanley Cup.
No respect for Tampa?
They win the Stanley Cup, and I'm going to tell you why. Tampa's got a much more difficult journey to get there. Vegas or Colorado plays the winner of the Winnipeg Montreal series.
Yeah, they would have to be the
Yeah,
lowest seed.
because they're the
They would
lowest
have to
seed
be,
in, yeah,
which means Tampa gets
Boston or Islanders.
Boston or the Islanders, right?
Right,
No,
which is gonna be a tough series, and that's why. No, I expect to see Tampa Bay there, but I believe that Tampa Bay's journey to get to the final 7 games of this playoff run are going to be a lot more difficult. The challenge right now for either Colorado or Vegas is the series that they're in right now. I don't think either one of these teams has an issue or will have a problem against Winnipeg or Montreal.
No.
So,
all right, that's going to
There you
wrap it
go.
up. That's going to wrap it up. We'll come back to you on Monday, June I don't know what the date is, after game 4. Hopefully we'll be in a cheery, happy mood talking about arguably the most anticipated game in the NHL season, which would be a 2-2 series with Colorado and the Golden Knights in game 5 coming up on Tuesday evening in Denver. Thank you everybody for subscribing and liking. Don't forget to do that. You'll see the subscribe and like button pop up during the video. Go ahead and click that for us as we continue to try and bring you good, unbiased
content.
analysis and the occasional prediction we may or may not get right. So that'll wrap up round 2, podcast 1. We're out of here. We have a night off. We can watch some other teams play hockey, and we'll see you again on Monday night.
Right?
2 games
There's 2
tonight.
games tonight, right? Yep.
Yep, we've got hockey. So thanks again, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.
Take care.